And you guys already know the train doesn't stop. It feels like just days ago, WrestleMania 41 was in the books, but here we are on the road to WWE Backlash, the show following WrestleMania as we see some of the fallout of what transpired at the show of shows this year's. Of course, my name is Jose Ramos Jr. Welcome back to my channel where we talk about pro wrestling as a pro wrestling fan in front of other pro wrestling fans. And of course, in today's video, we're going to be discussing and dissecting each matchup that's currently scheduled for WWE Backlash this upcoming weekend. And if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel, like, and comment down below what are the matches that you're looking forward to this upcoming weekend. If you want to stay up to date with all things pro wrestling, please continue to check out the J Area Wrestling Show. And with all that being said, let's go ahead and let's just jump right into it. Our very first matchup that we will be discussing, the WWE Women's Intercontinental Championship. Lyra Valkyria, the inaugural Intercontinental Champion, will be defending the title against Becky Lynch, someone that she's considered to be not only a friend, a peer, but a mentor. And now we see the true colors of Becky Lynch betraying Lyra Valkyria, claiming that she's been a leech, clinging on to the success of Becky Lynch. I, for one, am a big fan of seeing a heel version of Becky Lynch. I like seeing the more aggressive side of these superstars because when you're in a sport like pro wrestling and that combat is a normal aspect of a daily business for them, I want to see a little bit of aggression. I think it's a natural progression for someone like Becky Lynch to go after Lyra Valkyria because in her absence, in Becky's absence, Lyra has been able to carve out her own spot in the roster and take up some real estate as one of the top baby faces in the division on Monday nights. Becky Lynch not wanting to be an afterthought, not wanting to be someone that the fans forgot and clinging on to a new Irish wrestler. She wants to be the one that claims that Intercontinental title, taking it away from Lyra Valkyria. I think Lyra's done a fine job as the first and only Intercontinental Champion. But with that being said, I think the episode of Monday Night Raw that saw Lyra standing over Becky Lynch with the championship in her hand, that really spoke volumes of what's going to happen here at Backlash. I'm predicting Becky Lynch gets the win and is the new Intercontinental Championship. Does she need the title? Not really. Not really at all. But I think it would make sense for the narrative for Becky Lynch to win this championship. As a heel, it'll garner her more heat, not only with the audience, but probably with Lyra as well. I can expect some sort of a rematch. But I look at the lineage of every championship, and there's always the surprise champion, that being Lyra. And how about the contender that is a veteran? The contender that is someone who is already a made man or woman in this case. I think Becky gets the victory, whether it's through heelish tactic or not. I think Lyra, unfortunately, will be taking the pin, and we'll be crowning a new Intercontinental Champion. And speaking of the IC Championship, let's move over to the men's division as Dominic Mysterio, the man who won in the Fatal 4-Way matchup at WrestleMania, will be defending against another man that was a part of that matchup, and that is Penta. I'm looking really forward to this matchup. Obviously, it has the ramifications of an Intercontinental title on the line, but seeing Lucha being presented on the WWE screen so prominently as of late, I'm a big fan of what Penta has brought to the table as a newest addition to the roster, but also Dominic and his growing fandom, really seeing him being able to grow and evolve not only as a wrestler, but just as a man in front of our very eyes. Him winning the IC title was such a revelation at WrestleMania. You can tell the crowd was ready to not only applaud him, but congratulate him on making such a leap in his career. I think Dominic is a future world champion. I love what I see from him. You could say the same for Penta, who is a star already in his own right. But the overlying, or the underlying, I should say, the underlying story of it all is Finn Balor and Dominic and the inevitable destruction of the Judgment Day. I think we're going to get some sort of interference by Finn Balor or by someone in the Judgment Day, more likely Finn Balor. It is going to cost Dominic Mysterio. I think Penta gets the win, having already amassed so much momentum during these early months of his WWE run. I think we're going to cap it off with the Intercontinental Championship here for Penta. I think Dominic has done a fine job as a heel, but I do think we're going to start seeing these little indications of him maybe turning into a baby face, maybe an anti-hero or tweener of some sort. But I do think Dominic loses the championship that he just really won but I feel like it was all about the moment. It was about crowning him the Intercontinental Champion, seeing him succeed, seeing him in front of WrestleMania of all places with that title, the very same title that his dad won and Rey Mysterio. But I think the title reign itself is inconsequential. Penta goes over, two new Intercontinental Champions to start this prediction video. And if you guys disagree with my predictions here, go ahead and shout out in the comments below who you think will be walking out of each matchup as the victor. Or if you agree with me, go ahead and sound off in the comments as well anyway. But with that being said, we dive into another mid-card title here, a fatal four-way matchup. For the WWE United States Championship, Damian Priest, Drew McIntyre, and LA Knight, all the challengers for one Jacob Fatu's US Championship. Although it is a multi-man matchup here, I'm telling you right out of the gate, Jacob is not losing this title. I cannot see it. I will not even bother to entertain the idea that Jacob loses this title. The WWE has made it quite apparent how highly they think of Jacob Fatu, not only in his presentation, but in the minutes that is used to present him on the TV screen. Jacob Fatu, if he's not already a star, he is a star in the making. I cannot see him losing this matchup, although it is the perfect matchup to have him lose because he doesn't have to take a pin, doesn't have to submit. It could be anybody in this matchup, but he just won the title, and I feel like that is the story that we're going to be running with, and that's Jacob Fatu's ascent to the very top of the men's division. I think he wins, I think he retains, and we continue to introduce a little bit of disagreement, maybe mistrustment, maybe a little bit of dissension between Jacob and Solo Sikoa, and eventually how they separate as well. You know, heading into Backlash or whatever April/May pay-per-view or PLE is scheduled after WrestleMania, you kind of get an idea of where we're going in the story. Jacob Fatu defends his championship, a returning Becky gets a title opportunity. You can see the seeds being planted on the road to WrestleMania, but a matchup that I had no idea, and I'm pretty sure none of you had an idea was going to be taking place either, is a one-on-one contest between the former world champion Gunther and Pat McAfee. I'm going to tell you right now, Gunther goes over. They cannot, they should not, and absolutely they better not have Pat McAfee go over against Gunther. He just lost the world championship. He's already lost the Intercontinental title, but that was a while ago. I don't think he can take a loss against a guy like Pat McAfee. Nothing against Pat. I think he's entertaining, in his position. But he cannot beat Gunther. And I already know it. Book it. They're going to have Gunther dominate the matchup, delivering blow to Pat McAfee until his chest is turning bright red like my microphone here. And then there's going to be a moment here where Pat McAfee gets one shot and he begins to build up a little bit of steam, a little bit of momentum. He catches Gunther off his game, and just before you know it, he starts to get pinfalls, false finishes, of course, and teases to the crowd that, wait a minute, maybe the former puncher for the Indianapolis Colts has an opportunity to defeat the ring general Gunther. But of course, reality, like everything else, will come crashing down like gravity, and Pat McAfee will recognize that he cannot stand toe-to-toe with Gunther. This is a new version, an evolved version of Gunther, who is, one, relentless, two, is quite pissed off, I would think, after losing the world title in the fashion that he did at WrestleMania 41. He did not pass out. He tapped out to Jey Uso, who is now the world champion, of course. And I'm thinking that this is going to be a short matchup. If this matchup, I'm going to tell you right now, if this matchup exceeds 10 minutes, I would be thoroughly shocked. I would actually be a little bit upset. This match cannot go 10 minutes. Nothing but love for Pat McAfee. He's all pro. One of the greatest kickers to ever do it in the National Football League. But the last time I checked, this isn't Roger Goodell's playground. This is the WWE. 10 minutes. If this match goes over 10 minutes, I don't know what to tell you. Gunther goes over decisively, defeats Pat McAfee. Finally, we have the main event. The WWE Championship one last time. Randy Orton, the Viper, versus John Cena, the 17-time world champion. A matchup that I think we all expected to take place here during this Cena retirement run. We just didn't know when. Was it going to be his last match? Was it going to be SummerSlam? No, it's the very first matchup following WrestleMania 41. I think it's a smart move. Give the fans what they want. Randy versus Cena. And what's interesting about this is the dichotomy of it all. We were so used to seeing a babyface John Cena against a heel Randy Orton, and now that the roles are reversed, this is new ground, new territory that you and I are not familiar with. Having the crowd fully behind Randy Orton and booing John Cena for the most part. It's like we're in the Twilight Zone. It's not something we would have expected, but I love to see it. Randy and Cena have so much history, 20 plus years, dating all the way back to Ohio Valley Wrestling, leading into the Ruthless Aggression era, of course, their classic rivalry that spanned from 2007 all the way to present day. Two guys who are both sides of one coin, if you will. Randy Orton has the backing of his hometown, St. Louis, Missouri. You know it's going to be heavily a pro Randy Orton crowd. I wouldn't be surprised if there's some cheering for John Cena because it'll be the last time he makes an appearance as an active competitor. But I do think the crowd will be fully behind Randy Orton. He'll have the moves. We'll see the greatest hits. You know, RKO out of nowhere, attitude adjustment, STFUs, all the great stuff that we have been accustomed to seeing over the course of the last 20 years. But with that being said, I don't see Randy defeating John. John Cena just won the title. And the story is about how he is going to ruin wrestling. He's not going to drop the title the first opportunity that he has. I think it goes back and forth for sure. But the real question is, how long does this matchup go? Randy Orton, who's, you could even argue, still in his prime. I mean, the guy's fantastic. He's in great shape and can still go. But a guy like John Cena, who we kind of see a little bit of remnants of the old John Cena. When I say the old John Cena, I don't mean prime Cena, but I mean like an older John Cena who hasn't been in the ring all that long. And I mean, you just saw hints of it at WrestleMania. It was a slow, methodical pace that some people weren't really a fan of. I will come out and say his matchup against Cody Rhodes I thought was a little underwhelming. Was it a good matchup? I would say good, but I feel like it left a little bit to be desired. Hopefully, because of his history and his chemistry with Randall Keith Orton, we get a little bit of more flair, a little bit more flash between the two. Nonetheless, I'm still looking forward to it. I think John Cena goes over in a big way to reassert his dominance, not only as the top heel, but just the top guy in the business. John Cena goes over, and Randy will be just fine. You know, this loss will not hurt him as bad as maybe another person might have suffered. It'll be a classic matchup. It'll be the last time ever. That's how they're booking it. Randy Orton versus John Cena, last time ever. But I want to hear from you guys in the comments down below. Do you think Randy Orton has a legitimate shot of beating John Cena for the WWE title? Who do you think walks out as the Intercontinental Champion for both men and women's division? And how long do you think Gunther will let Pat McAfee hang around in their matchup at Backlash? Of course, if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, comment down below, and subscribe for more wrestling content such as this or the live streams that we hold every week here on YouTube. With that being said, my name is Jose Ramos Jr. Thank you again for joining us in today's video, and I'll see you all in the next one.